a lot of times they're hearing about it for the first time as I speak. And I know that just through conversation, I know I've had the opportunity to actually. Do you also work at Twinco as well?
No,
No, I work for the state.
Okay.
Legal investigation.
Okay. Because I was going to say, I know that for you, I know I did have the opportunity to be at your place of business, to sit down and share with the employees there. So always good to have the opportunity to speak with folks in the community about what we're doing. And so as I share with you about our company called Legalshield, we like to focus on the personal growth, professional opportunity, and powerful journey that we can all embark on if we see fit. And so when we're talking about companies like the one we're talking about today, the best business models of today have to be simple. Okay, they have to be disruptive. They have to be. No, we don't close it all the way because we want to make sure people know that we're here. That the best business models of today have to be simple. Okay, they have to be disruptive. When we use the word disruptive, it means that we have to change the way that we currently think of something to a new way to think about it. Okay, and to use it. If a company is noble, that's even better. And if a company is not easily duplicated, we know that that's the number one rule, right? If you can be more unique, the more unique you can be, the more likely you'll be successful and stay around. And if you have an app, again, that's cutting edge. So a few examples of that would be companies like Uber and Netflix, right? So what did Uber do? Uber basically changed the transportation industry, how we get around. Why? Because instead of us now trying to figure out where's the local taxi company or the number to find and things of that sort, with an app right from our phone, we just pull it out, we can schedule a ride, we can pay for it right through the app, and we don't have to worry about, again, carrying around extra money or anything else in relation to getting around. We can track our whole travel, right? We can track from the time that we get, when we're going to get picked up, to when we get to our destination, etc. So pretty awesome. Netflix did the same thing, but in the movie industry, right? So what did? Hey, good evening. Good.
Hey, how are you?
Awesome. So what did Netflix do? Netflix basically changed the movie industry. Some of us, everybody here in the room is old enough to know of the company called Blockbusters, right?
Yeah.
How come they're not here anymore? Because of Netflix. Because what did Netflix do? They said, why get in your car and go and drive to a brick and mortar establishment to go rent a movie, right, that you got to return in a certain amount of time. Then if you don't rewind it, you got to pay rewind fees, right, and all of this kind of stuff. When you can just have an app, right, you pay one small monthly fee, you can watch the movies as much as you want. If you didn't finish it, that's okay. You can come back later and continue right where you left off.
Yeah.
Right?
What did Blockbuster do?
Blockbuster.
They put the mom and pop video rentals out of business.
Well, they did. Well, they did that initially. Sure. And that's what these kind of companies do as they grow, right? And so that's exactly what Netflix did, right? And so the legal industry is the same thing. The legal industry happens to be expensive, right? It happens to be unresponsive, and it has to be unaccountable, right? And if we've ever used attorney services, we can probably agree with one, if not all three of these statements. Simply because that's just the system that exists, right? And so what did Legalshield do? We basically became a disruptive business model and created a disruptive app that basically allows us to now have access to legal services and identity theft protection without worrying about how much it costs, worrying about accountability, okay, or responsiveness. In other words, we got great response, it's affordable, right? And we have a great accountable system. And we do that all through an app, very much like the other companies that we talked about. Right, and so our company's been around since 1972, so we've been around a long time, okay? And today we currently protect 4.4 million lives across the United States and Canada, okay? And we have and what we offer them is a dedicated network of provider law firms, quality law firms, covering all 50 states, okay? And soon to be all provinces in Canada. It says 4, but come September, which is this month coming up, all the provinces in Canada will be open for us to be able to do business, which is awesome. And then what you see here is basically a lot of third-party documentation that has basically looked at our company and highly documented what we do, right? So you got the Better Business Bureau there, you got Forbes magazine, Bloomberg, CNBC, etc. And this picture here in the middle is Harlan C. Stonecipher. That's this gentleman here. This was his automobile that he was in an accident in 1969. And as you can see, his car is pretty total, pretty messed up there. and he did not cause the accident. Another motorist actually caused the accident that day, and the other motorist decided to sue Mr. Stone Cipher for causing the accident. So you can imagine it being a driver yourself, right? And maybe an accident having occurred, and although you know you didn't do anything wrong, the other person's still blaming you and wanting to sue you for what occurred, right? And so when you're sued, what do you have to do? Typically defend yourself, right? And so he had to do that. He had to hire an attorney, go to court, defend the fact that he did not cause this accident. Make a long story short, he almost became financially bankrupt over that one accident because of the fees and the costs associated with trying to defend himself for something he didn't cause. And he understood the value of everything else that we generally have in place today. He had health insurance, right, for any injuries he would have occurred. He had car insurance, okay, for his damaged car, and he even had life insurance just in case he didn't end up being here. But the one thing he didn't have, and for two reasons: one, he didn't expect it, but two, it didn't exist, was something to offset the legal costs associated with such an incident. Okay, and so that's what created the vision for the company called Legalshield. This is our corporate office in Ada, Oklahoma. So our vision as a company is to provide equal access to the liberty, equality, opportunity, and justice that every human deserves and expects. And just out of curiosity, you can just participate by just raising your hands, but how many of us have ever signed a contract or a document, right? Have we done it? Sure, right? Ever had a landlord-tenant issue? Maybe felt like we've been treated unfairly, right? Ever received a traffic ticket? Right, I'll do this because I'm right. Ever needed to prepare a will or have one updated? Right, had a real estate transaction? Ever been a victim of identity theft? Right, or just concerned about our child's identity? And then we can continue asking questions. But the reality is, if we answer yes to any one of these questions, then you could benefit from what I'm sharing with you today. And so, going back to the app that I talked about just a second ago, we call it basically tap, call, and have equal access. Right, and this is the pictorial view of the app that you would be able to download to your smartphone, your device that you have, or you can even use a laptop as far as the access to services. But you see that feature here, it says call your law firm. And on that app, you can press that button to call your law firm, and you'll be able to call your law firm local to the state and where you live, right? And you're gonna get a top quality law firm right here in New York State to help render you the services. And the first service you'll be able to have access to is what they call personal legal advice, right, for an unlimited number of issues. So how much is unlimited? Right, it's unlimited, right? So there's no limit, right? And so basically what they're saying, Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, you can call them as much as you want, be on the phone as long as you need to, and never receive a bill. How many of us can use something like that? Sure, yeah. Right, we could. I mean, how many, during the course of our life, how many decisions are we making, big or small, that affect us personally, business, or financial, right, that we could probably use advice on? Right? And not just advice that we can get from our family member, our neighbor, our pastor, right? Or anything like that. How about from those that know the laws associated around the decisions that we have to make, right? That's what's important. The attorneys will also write letters and make phone calls on your behalf to help you resolve situations, right? And how important is that? Their letters and their phone calls carry a lot more weight than our own. Right? How many of us have written letters before, right, trying to resolve situations, right? Or made our own phone call, or tried to make our phone call during our lunch break and realize we don't have enough time to be on hold, okay, and we got to hang up and call back the next day, right, because that's the next opportunity we have to call, right, because by the time we get off of work, it's called, the company's closed, right? And so it's important to know that the attorneys don't have that kind of wait time, and that's big. You know, one of the first opportunities I had to use the service was right there where it says letters and phone calls, right? I had bought a home that was newly built, and the carpet was coming up along the fringes. You know, it was kind of lifted, so they didn't really install it properly. So, you know, at the time, my wife was like, you know, I told her I would take care of it. She was like, no, you shouldn't have to do that. This and that. So I wrote the builders and said what was going on. They said, okay, no problem. Actually, I called them. They said, write a letter. You know, let us know what's going on, and we'll come in and fix everything that we need to fix. So I wrote the letter. 3 weeks later, no response. Right? So I called them. They said, oh no, we never got the letter. I'm like, okay, great. So I go back to my computer, change the date, you know, send the same letter I sent them the first time, right? Because everything still needs to be fixed. A couple more weeks later, nothing, right? Then I saw this program. Someone introduced me to Legalshield. And I said, it sounds great. And I said, you know what, I think this letters and phone call, I think I can use that, right? So I called the attorney, explained to him what was going on. They said, do us a favor, send us the name and contact information for the builders. I did that. The attorney fired off a letter to them. Within 3 days of them receiving a letter from the attorney, they was in my house fixing the stuff, right? My question is, why couldn't they do that when I wrote my letter, right? This is the reality. The reality is they already had my money, right? And it's for them, there's no new financial investment for them to come back to, even though they should, right? We all agree that they should, right? But because they already have my money, I'm the one that has to basically wait unless I can force them to do something different, right? And that's where that letter came in. Because what happens when I give them that letter? That letter basically said that if you don't help my client resolve their problem, then we have to take further legal action. And if my attorneys don't want to take further legal action, they got to get now their attorneys involved on something they could easily come and fix. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so, how many of us have had that happen to us? But just know that we don't have to worry about that going forward. Contract and document review. They'll review an unlimited number of contracts and documents before we sign them, preferably, or even after. How many of us pretend to read? I repeat, pretend, right? I mean, some things we don't want to take the time to read. If we have a cell phone, I know you did not read the electronic pad. I already know it. So we can stop pretending, right? I mean, and then when we see something funky on our bill, right? The first thing we want to do is call and basically raise all, you know what, right? To people who, and so why go through that when we could have had our attorney review that stuff for us? Now, it might mean we might have to wait an extra day or something before we complete a purchase, but would it be worth it versus having something happen on the backside, right? And it's so important. And I mentioned the cell phone company, but that happened to me not too long ago. I've just bought some new cell phone devices, and I was talking to the salesperson, and my dealings with the salesperson, I wasn't feeling, it just wasn't really going well. But I didn't have time to wait, right? I wanted my phone, right? And so I asked him, I said, if I sign this right now, can I get a copy of this? But I need it right now. And he's like, sure. So I signed the pad. He gave me a copy. As I'm walking out, I'm calling my attorney, right? Because because at first I asked him, well, if I don't like this purchase, how long do I have to return it? They said 3 days. I said, perfect, right? So he gave me the printout of everything that I signed. I called my attorney. I explained to him what was going on. They said, send us over the document. They sent the document. I sent the document over to them. They called me back, and we went over the stuff that I had issues with. By the time I finished talking with my attorney, I was good, right? But again, I had a peace of mind knowing that I was okay with the purchase after talking with the person who I knew had my best interests at heart based on what I needed to have clarity about, right? And so that's so important. IRS Audit Legal Services, they'll be able to review an unlimited number of documents. In the case of IRS audits, if you need representation, that's for family taxes, not for anything business, but for family, on your regular 1040 forms, you can have representation underneath that benefit for $49 an hour, okay, based on a schedule of hours. So again, it's often said, and I don't know if you've heard this, but I've heard it, okay, don't go to an audit by yourself. That's like the worst thing you can do in the case of the IRS. And why not have a tax attorney be able to do that? And what I love about that rate is you can't even get a law student to go to court with you for that kind of price, right? So you're getting top quality representation for almost, as low as you can ever think about offering. And then we have civil child defense. So that's for covered situations which would include any civil matters or any job-related criminal matters, having representation for those matters for $49 an hour. Now, again, these situations are not situations we plan to get into a lot, but how many agree that if you got into them, you want to know that instead of paying $200 to $300 an hour for an attorney, you can get top quality representation again for just $49 an hour. And then one of my favorite areas to talk about is the next one, right? It's called submit a traffic ticket. So the way this simply works, it says that you can basically, again, tap the app, snap a picture of the ticket once receiving it, right? And then you can upload that picture to your law firm, right? The attorney will call you back to share with you how to address that moving traffic violation, right? Whether you got the ticket here in your local state or if you were traveling across state lines someplace else within the United States and received the ticket, right? And then they'll arrange to have an attorney go to court with you or for you to help you fight the ticket, right? For just $25. Now, again, and I'm coming right to you because you and I both did like this, right? Right? But the reality is, would that have been a benefit? Because what happens? What's our alternative? Right? Our alternative is either just pay the ticket, right? Because we can't take the time off of work or don't want to take the time off of work, right? Or it's called again. So it's either don't pay, which we know is not good, right? Or just pay, right? Or go down to traffic court, not knowing what the laws are or what our rights are, and try to defend ourselves, right? And means that we got to take time off of work or off of school or off of business.
And we still end up losing anyways.
Right, exactly. No, right, exactly, right? And so why not be able to have an attorney who specializes in that area go to court either with you or for you to go have your matters handled. My last ticket, not my last, actually, my next to last ticket was out of state, it was the state of Connecticut. $265 fine, 3 points being threatened on my license. Wasn't happy about the ticket, but it was what it was. But so I called my law firm here. At the time, we didn't even have this feature on the app as where you could take a picture and all that stuff. So I just actually faxed the ticket to them, and they arranged the attorney in the state of Connecticut to go to court for me. And I remember it like, because you know how moments of time you can remember exactly what you were doing when it happened. And well, I remember this particular case, right? And I was out mowing my lawn, and my cell phone rings, and I answer the cell phone, and it's my attorney, letting me know they just got out of traffic court in Connecticut, right? And that I wasn't going to get any of the 3 points associated with my ticket, which was, I got excited about that. I was like, great, my insurance cost stays right where it is, right? But they went on the side, I didn't have to pay any of the $265 fine either. I didn't have any more questions. I said, thank you very much, right? And I just hung up, and all it cost me was my $25, right? And then, again, think of the alternative. If I was going to do something about that ticket, if I was just going to pay, that means that's $265 out of my pocket. I am pleading guilty, right? When you pay, that means you're pleading guilty, right? That means that you're going to get the points, and it means your insurance company has the rights to increase rates, right? And then here, for just $25, I had them go to court. I didn't even know what they said. I wasn't even there, right?
They know what to say.
Right, but I didn't have to deal with any of that, other than just sending my attorney and saying thank you very much, right? And that's exciting. I mean, and I'm not going to say that every situation regarding traffic tickets always work out like that particular one did. In fact, I've had maybe about a half a dozen tickets that I had to have represented. Every one of them I got no points, which is great. How many are like that, right? I mean, they got no points on any of those half dozen tickets. And half of them, I think, half of them I had no fine, and the other half I had to pay a reduced fine, right? But I'll take those odds every time.
Now you pay court costs whether you win or lose.
Say it again?
Now you pay court costs whether you win or lose.
Yeah, well, that might be true. Yeah, it might be true. I mean, I don't know. I haven't been to court in a while, so with that concern, you might be right. I'll take your word on that, right? And then the next area says estate planning, right? So this button allows us to be able to get to download forms to help us with our wills, our medical power of attorney, financial power of attorneys, and we understand how important wills are. However, not many people have had one in place or even had to have one updated recently. But the great part about Legalshield is we actually give all of these documents to our members without there being any additional cost, and you get free yearly updates. So it always stays current, right? Because what's the difficult part? The difficult part is when you get it will done initially, you're thinking, okay, it's great, this is my situation today, but then you forget that life evolves, right? 10 years down the road, 20 years down the road, you might have added children, right? Or you might have been grandchildren, or you might have bought a home, right? Or whatever the case is that your will doesn't reflect, right? And so you always have to have it updated. In this particular case, doesn't matter. Every year, if something changes, once a year you can have it updated to reflect your current situation. And that's not just a will just for you, but for your covered significant other spouse is also included for that as well. The 24/7 emergency legal access. So this is in cases, we understand that some things happen after hours, right? After 5 p.m. when law firms are closed, right? And so simply what this says as emergency legal access is that if your rights or freedoms or liberties are being detained or threatened, right? Especially in the face of law enforcement officers or something like that. Anytime that you're present of an executive branch official who is attempting to take children away from your home, right? Or if you were ever injured or being asked to sign documents to forfeit or waive your rights, you can call your attorney immediately, any hour of the day, any day of the week, any holiday, and get help, right? That is, I can't, to me, that's priceless when you think about the multitude of kinds of situations that can possibly happen. And this is why I got the plan a number of years ago, because before I was a member of Legalshield, I was stopped by NYPD twice, and Suffolk County Police on another instance. And all 3 times, I felt like I was being treated like I did something wrong when in a sense I wasn't, right? And I understand that law enforcement officers got a tough job to do, right? However, I shouldn't be treated a certain kind of way as why they do it, right? And so when I saw this, I said, this sounds great. I became a member, but then I had no law enforcement activity for like the next 5 years, right? But I was still happy that I had it, right? But I will tell you a story that I did have a chance to use it. So my wife and I went out to a party out east, it was Quag, right? If anybody's familiar with Quag. And so we go there, it was a friend's birthday party. We leave there like maybe 2 o'clock in the morning. Okay, this was on a Friday night. And they warned us. They said, be careful when you go out of here. There's a lot of police activity up on the on the main strip there. I said, okay, no problem. Sure enough, we leave their house. As soon as we get to the first stop sign, it was not even a quarter mile from their house. Make a right, woo! sirens. I said, what the, and I know I didn't do anything wrong. I mean, I know I didn't have time to do anything wrong, right? But the lights are flashing, so immediately I got my cell phone out, I'm calling my law firm, right? I'm calling my attorney, because, I called them too soon, but that doesn't matter. I mean, that's what I do, right? But because they say only if I was being detained, or questioned is when I'm supposed to call them. But I called them immediately, right? So by the time the officer got to my car, the attorney was already on the line, right? So the officer gets to the car, license and registration. I said, well, what's the problem, sir? What happened? License and registration, right? That's how they act, right? So I said, okay, give him my license, I give him my registration, and at the time, before we had these apps, I had a card that I carried, like a membership card, that said on the card, if it's their intention to question, detain, or arrest me, please allow me to call my attorney immediately. And so he's like, what is this? I said, well, you can see it. But anyway, he goes to his car, he comes back and he asks me to step out my vehicle, right? Now, before that, I already had the attorney on the line. They asked me, was I being questioned, detained yet? I said, no, not yet. They said, well, you called a little early. I said, I know. They're like, would you like us to stay on the line? We said, yes, please. So anyway, so the officer asked me to step out the car. So I'm out the car. They wouldn't let my wife get out the car. They told her she needed to stay in the car, right? So I'm behind the car, and they got me going through all the sobriety stuff, right? So I'm saying alphabet, doing everything, walking the line, standing on one foot. I'm doing everything they tell me to do, right? Passing everything, right? Then they want me to take the breathalyzer. I said, I'm not taking the breathalyzer, right? And I'm telling you guys this because I didn't have a problem with taking the breathalyzer other than the fact that I was just frustrated. I knew I wasn't intoxicated and driving, while intoxicated and anything else like that. But what I didn't know, and this is why I'm glad I had something like Legalshield, was at the time, my wife said, she's on the phone, what's going on? I said, they won't take the breathalyzer, I'm not taking it, right? And so she's telling that to the attorney on the phone. And he's like, wait, is there a reason why she's not taking it? And she said, no. He said, well, tell him to take it, because if he doesn't take it, they will arrest him. And they were threatening to arrest me the whole time. And I'm like, for what? Like, I'm not, right? But what I didn't know, in the state of New York, if you refuse the breathalyzer, it's an automatic arrest, right? Now, I only know this now because my attorney, at 2 o'clock in the morning on a Friday, advises me to take the breathalyzer, right? Because otherwise, without access to them, I was not going to take it, and I'd have been in jail wondering why. Yeah. Right? So I go and I take the breathalyzer, I pass it, then they want me to take it a second time, right? So anyway, I did get a chance to get my vehicle when I got home. But I tell the story because without Legalshield, I'd have been in jail. Remember, this was on a Friday night going to a Saturday. So I wouldn't have been able to talk to anybody on Saturday. I wouldn't have been able to talk to anybody on Sunday. Right, the next opportunity for anything to happen in my situation would be Monday morning, right? So I'd have been 3 days in some place that I shouldn't have been in, right? All because I didn't know, right? And so how many would agree that something like that, where you can get educated on the spot, could be important, right? I mean, and that's exactly how I like that particular area. 25% performance discount simply means that if I didn't talk about it yet, then it gets covered by what we call our catch-all area. So you're gonna get a 25% discount off of those other areas. So you're always gonna get a discount, if not no cost at all, for the legal services, which is awesome. So these are pre-existing matters, things dealing with like bankruptcy, adoption, divorce, DUIs, etc. And so that's our catch-all area there. And then we have contingency cases. Contingency are those where you want to be on the offense, right? So you fell down, hurt yourself, you want to sue somebody, right? And in most cases, most attorneys will take their money back, or get their money on any earnings that you might win, right? And in most cases, they take 33% up to 40% of your earnings, as their payment, right? Well, in our case with Legalshield, they'll take no more than 25%, so that's the highest amount that they will take from any of your earnings. That's more money in your pocket, right? And a good thing again about that is they'll take those cases on, and it's still going to get discounted because it's still going to be part of the 25% discount area too. So you're always going to win in that scenario. So who's covered? The primary member, the member's spouse, or domestic partner, and the key word there is "or," right? I mean, if you have an "and" situation, that's a problem already, right? So you want to just show right? But I just so funny. I went to PCs the other day, and somebody said, "Yeah, you need a different kind of program. It's called church, right?" But anyway, never married dependent children under the age of 21 living at home. Okay, full-time college students up to the age of 23, whether they're living at home or going to school away, they're also covered. Any dependent children under the age of 18 who you might be the legal guardian of, but may not be the biological parent. Okay, and then any physically or mentally disabled child living in your home, okay, are covered for their entire lifetime. Okay, all for the same price, right? So it doesn't matter whether you're just covering just yourself or you have a family structure, as I mentioned here, they're all covered for the same dollar amount, right? And that's great, because we know in the world of healthcare, it's called, once you go outside of yourself, it's called, rates go way up, right? I mean, and here, everything stays the same. So, which would you choose going forward now that we've been educated? Would you continue using what's available out there now, right? Your Google research, right? Or asking a friend or neighbor who they know, paying $250 an hour or more every time you need to use an attorney who might specialize in 1 or 2 areas of law? Or would you prefer to just pay about $1 a day to have access to a number of attorneys in many different areas of law via a law firm, but not just in the state and where you live, but anywhere in the country of the United States where you may travel? Right? How many agree that that's probably a way better deal, right? And that's exactly what we get excited about. Identity theft, it is the fastest growing crime out there today. I don't want to spend a lot of time on this because we all know what it's about, right? We know that, we've heard of information of ours getting compromised, whether it's businesses that we've done businesses with, whether it's the places that we went to school, whether it's the places that we work for. I mean, these things are happening. So what did our company do? Our company put together a product called ID Shield. We understand that the scope of identity theft is more than just financial. In fact, when people think of identity theft, they think credit or financial, right? But that's only 17% of all identity theft cases. The other 83% of cases come in these other areas, like tax return fraud, right? Where they're actually, people are using your information, filing taxes for you, getting your check before you file. Right? I mean, it's happening, and it's happened a lot. I mean, I remember one year in Westchester, it happened to 400 different people. That particular thing, tax return fraud, right? Crazy, right? Medical claims, right? Where, again, they're using your medical information, getting work done, leaving you with the bill, right? And what's scary about medical claim frauds is a lot of times, and I say this stuff to educate you, the medical industry has gotten better because of this, okay? But in the early times, right, how often did they even ask you for identification? No. They didn't, right? They asked you usually 2 questions. Have you been here before? Do you have insurance? Right? That's it. If you could say yes and yes, to that, and what's your name, you can get treated, right? And what if you, and I'm telling you this story because this is what happened. I know I'm familiar what happened to someone, where you go, someone who goes in as you, but not really you, right? They go in, they draw blood, they add the blood record to the chart, but it's a different blood type than you are, right? Now you go for real, right? You have an issue, you go to the hospital, they check your chart that's now been altered, right? Because the last person who went, they prescribe you a medicine based on what they see in the chart, right? And we know how serious that can be, and there's people who literally died from that very issue, right? And anyway, we can go on. Right, Social Security claims, driver's license fraud, driver's license identity theft, which is pretty common, which is basically people having, their picture but everybody else's information, right? I mean, and then something happens, they don't show up for court, but who they looking for? They're looking for the person whose ID matches up with the with the person's information they stole, right? And then criminal. So the bottom line is, where identity theft is concerned, we're guilty until we prove ourselves innocent. Right? In fact, the local law enforcement will tell you that there's not much they can do in the world of identity theft. Because who are they looking for? You. Right? I mean, they're literally looking for you. Right? Because everything you're telling them is the person is using my name, my social security number, right? So literally they don't have no way to, the local police have no way to even make any ground where this is concerned. Okay, and so that's why we need something outside of that. And so what Shield does is gives us the ability to have part of the services monitoring and alerts on basically everything that involves us, right? And so we can get our credit score monitored, social security numbers monitored to make sure it's not being used any place, our passports, our driver's license, our medical IDs, our emails up to 10 different email addresses, right? Our usernames and passwords, our credit cards, our bank accounts, our dark web, which simply means stuff that's happening in areas we don't know anything about. Okay, that's where the thieves hang out. The thieves hang out in the dark web. Okay, they're making sure that our information ain't being used there. Social media accounts, right? And this all comes with a protection plan of $25,000 with the one bureau monitoring, and then for just an additional $5 a month for someone who wants to upgrade their plan, can get 3 bureau monitoring and a $1 million protection policy as part of those additional benefits, right? And most importantly, that if you do become a victim of identity theft, because I don't care what service is out there, no one can claim that they can, fully prevent your identity from being compromised. Okay. However, when it does, you want to make sure you have the best service available to help you out, and that's where we separate ourselves from everybody else, because what you're going to get is licensed private investigators that will do the legwork for you. Will do whatever it takes, in fact, for as long as it takes. Okay, until they bring it back to pre-theft status. Now, how many would agree that if your identity got compromised, you probably wouldn't even know where to start? You probably wouldn't even know who to call, right? The most people call local law enforcement. Like I said, that's where most people start. And you still need to do that. Don't get me wrong. You still need to make that step. However, that's as far as we can generally go, right? As civilians, right? I mean, unless you have other skills. So now we have the ability to make one phone call, right, through our app. Okay, as a matter of fact, just tap the feature on the app that says "Call my ID Shield," support there, and they'll assign investigators that know how to do all the stuff we don't know how to do. They'll do the research, they'll do all of that kind of stuff, and they'll talk to the government agencies and all that kind of stuff. And all we do is sign over a limited power attorney to them to act as us while we're busy at work and doing all the stuff that we have to do, right? And that's very powerful. I mean, and they're, believe me, they're awesome. I mean, I looked at my credit report and I thought I saw something there that I did not owe. Like, I mean, it was a company I wasn't familiar with, and I was like, I definitely don't owe this. Like, this is not me, right? So I called. I said, listen, this is what I see in my credit report. So they asked me some questions, and I hear the person typing as I'm talking, and within, I would say, less than 60 seconds, right? They were able to explain to me what I was seeing, why I was seeing it, and basically what had happened was the company that I was dealing with got bought out by another company, okay? And they were able to tell me that when it happened, okay, and everything else. I was like, oh, this is awesome, right? I mean, and again, if you're going to be dealing with somebody who are going to be working in your corner, you want folks that can give you that kind of detailed information, right? And that was huge. And so how much does this cost? For a family, it's $48.95 a month, and that includes, again, the legal and ID Shield programs. And then for an individual, it's $33.95 a month. And we do have some plans that are a little less than that, but just get back to the person who invites you to kind of go over those if necessary. But these are the general prices for the plan, whether it's an individual or a family. But again, you're just talking about just a little over $1 a day, in many cases, to have access to both of these services, to just not just protect you, but your loved ones, because the ID Shield also covers up to 10 dependents, right? I mean, so the good thing is if you have children, all your children can be covered up to the age of 18, that is, because after 18 they can create their own stuff, so they have to have their own plan at that point. They're not going to make you responsible for things that your children create after they become legal age to do so. And then we have something called Member Perks. And so what this does is another feature on our app that allows you to get discounts off of 400 different merchandising stores out there, right? How many of us like to shop, right? Or that we spend money on things, right? And we might be familiar with some of these names already, right? I mean, how many of us may use Verizon, right? Or Sprint, or going to Best Buy, right? And we get discounts of all these stores just because we're members of Legalshield. In fact, we could literally save more money a month than we actually have to spend to have it. Right? I mean it's huge. I mean, my favorite one is it even on here? It's not even. Actually, it is AMC. It's one of my favorite. Right? It's the movie theaters. Right? I mean, and I hadn't gone to a movie theater in years. Why? Because I'm not trying to spend $15 on a movie ticket. Right? I mean, I'm just not gonna do it. Right? However, with my discount, I mean, I pay under $10. Okay, for a ticket. So I've been going to movies quite a bit. Like, oh, this is great, right? I mean, I've been wanting to see this on the big screen. Right? I mean, so it's pretty good stuff. So we can go on and on. I mean, I get $30 off a month on my cell phone bill. Yeah. Right? I mean, and if you just that one discount alone, I mean, I already told you the price for an individual is $33.95. For just that one discount alone, I almost pay for me already having this, right? So it's a huge benefit. So I'm just going to transition because everything I talked about regarding the service is stuff that we share with the public, okay? And whether we're sharing it to individuals, whether we're sharing it to families, whether we're sharing it to businesses, right? Or to employees of businesses. And our company, and that's the only way our company shares our service, okay? And there's an opportunity for those that want to make money on a part-time or spare time basis, mostly. We have others that do our business full-time, but we, as a company, need help. We need help getting information out about what it is we do. We don't do traditional commercials. We've gone down that road. We've tried it, right? But what we found out is that most people don't buy through commercials. Okay, commercials do serve a purpose, right? They help create awareness. Okay, but it doesn't translate oftentimes to buying in an immediate fashion, right? Which is what we understand that we want to do, right? We understand how important these services are, and we want people to be able to have access to them pretty much right away, just by making a simple decision. And so basically, we make money by utilizing the ability to use marketing teams and earning an income through what we call overrides, if we choose to. But there are a few word of mouth companies out there today, right? Because we're a word of mouth company as well. But you have companies like Netflix, which is word of mouth, right? That's how I heard about Netflix. Was someone, they say, "Oh, do you have Netflix?" And I, "No, what is that?" And they went on to explain to me what it was, and since then I became a Netflix member, right? I mean, Uber, they pay credits, however, right, to people who refer, right, or as you use it. I don't even use Uber, right? I mean, I don't, but I did download the app one time because I was away on a business trip, and I was like, I think I better try this thing because I don't want to pay the taxi rates that was going on where I was. But then I last heard you can't pay bills with credits. Right? So why not be involved with another word of mouth company that pays you what? Money. Right? Why is that important? Because money allows us to do a lot of different things, right? Allows us to pay some bills, allows us to do some other things that we might want to do. And Legalshield is willing to do that, right? And so there are 4 ways we get paid as a company. All right, and I'll just pull them up real quick. One is what we call personally enrolling members. So we have the ability, once we make the decision that we want to be involved in this way, is that we will have the ability to be able to share the same information I shared with you with others without doing what I'm doing, right? Because how many believe public speaking is like, yeah, that's not something I want to do. Doesn't sound really attractive, right? I mean, it's like, right? But if you know that you could actually send somebody a text or an email with a link that they can click on and get all the information I'm doing right now, how many of us can do that, right? Yeah. Many of us can do that, right? And then so if we are involved in personally enrolling a member, we can get paid. We can also earn what they call an override if we decided to have others that are helping us get the word out, right? So we have the ability to build what we call, I like to call them marketing teams to go out and share this information. If we decide to do that, we can earn override income on that. And then we have residual income, right? So we got residual commissions on the business that we do or the people that we're working with does. We also get a chance to earn residuals on that as well, okay? And then we also earn bonuses and incentives. So we'll be going through all of that as we speak. But I want to make sure everybody's aware that everything I'm going to talk about is based on our full family plan membership or premium, which is $48.95, okay? And so what this represents is simply that when we share the service with someone and they got it to protect their family, both services to protect their family, which again is $48.95, we get a chance to make $66, right? Whether we are doing that in person, whether we're doing that by sending them a link that they go to on your website and enroll, okay? Whether we're sending them a link to the app, that they open up the app, download the app rather, and then sign up right through the app. But either of those ways, when that happens, the company's gonna direct deposit into your bank account $66, right? Now, after you get a chance to advance to one level, then you're gonna make $132 per person every time they enroll for a $48.95 plan. Again, whether you're doing it in person, whether they're doing it through your website, whether they're doing it through enrolling on an app. All right, so you have that ability. And as you just increase your ability to make more money, that's all it does. It's just each level allows you to make more money every time you market one of those plans. Okay, and so the director position, which is our top permanent pay position in the company, simply says that, okay, every time when we reach that level, every time we market one of those $48.95 plans, the company is gonna direct deposit in your bank account $209, right? These next 2 positions are what we call bonus qualifying positions. So basically what that means is that there's no quotas attached from associate to director, so you can, at your own pace, advance. There's no monthly, requirements to maintain those levels or anything else. But after that, for senior director and executive director, there are monthly qualifications that you have to maintain to get paid at these levels. But again, if the same thing applies, that the 253 or the 308 will be per person who enrolls for the $48.95 plan. Now, if someone enrolls for one of the other plans I shared with you, like our individual plan, you'll still get compensated, but just not at this rate, okay? But now let's take a look at what happens if you happen to know someone else like yourself, or maybe perhaps if that you want to make some money, right? How many of us know that there's probably a number of people that's dissatisfied with what's happening in their work environment, right? Or feel like they just need to have another stream of income, right? And the other stream of income could be for many different reasons. But the reality is, if we could just introduce them to the same business model that you're taking a look at tonight as an example, without, again, you doing what I'm doing, right? That they can get from a video, or they can get from reading from a website, right? And make a decision, and they decide to join you, right? And when that happens, we have an ability to earn an override, right? So, and it's Joyce? Jamie, right? So Jamie, right? So as an example, let's just say you're a manager, right? So every time you share that plan with someone, you're gonna make $154, right? And you shared it with me. And I said, Jamie, this is awesome. I need it. I've been stopped by NYPD twice, Suffolk County Police another time. I gotta have this, right? So I enroll in the plan. You make $154. Not bad. You sent me a website, I took a look, I loved it. But when I was reading the website, I saw there was an opportunity for people to make some money by doing the same thing you were doing. So I said, I like that too. So he was like, I don't know much about it, but once you get signed up, let me know. I'll connect you with the person I'm working with, right? I said, okay. So I enroll as an associate. So I'm an associate in the business like you, right? And I go enroll, I go talk to my sister. Now, do you know my sister? You don't, right? But so I talk to my sister. My sister says, I love that plan, Russ. I think I need that. So my sister gets the plan for me. She pays the $48.95. The company's gonna direct deposit $66 in my bank account. I'm excited. Why? Because it took me no time at all. I know my sister could probably use the service. She got it, and they paid me a nice piece of money for, not doing a whole lot, right? But this was good. Even though you didn't know, I talked to my sister, right? And you're working, you're at work, okay? The next day, direct deposit in your bank account, you're gonna get 22 plus 22. You're gonna make $44 on me enrolling my sister, even though you didn't know I did it, right? Now, if you knew that was possible, my question is, would you only have one of me? Probably not, right? What if you had 10 people like that was interested in making additional income on a part-time, spare-time basis, and they just signed up one member a month, right? They all just signed up one member a month. So they each made $66 extra, right? But yet, you'd have made 44 times the 10, so you'd have made $440 that month on top of, in addition to what you already earned, without there being any extra work coming from you. Right? Pretty good, right? And so we could do the math until we can't stand it. So this chart just allows us to go up. If you were at the very top part of what we're showing you here, and you were an executive director, and you had a brand new person who get started, that brand new person will make 66, and you make 22 plus 22 plus 22, 33, 44, 55. You make $198 every time that this person enrolls someone in a membership. Mm-hmm. They did it 5 times, they'll make about $300, which is not bad money. They do it 5 times, you make $1,000.
Nice.
Not bad, right? I mean, so that's the team override. And guess what's great? You can go up at your own pace, however you want, but the company will be willing to pay you bonuses for going faster, right? So they're saying that in your first 20 days, if you desire to move from associate to senior associate, they're gonna give you a $200 bonus for doing so, right? Now, why is that important? Because first of all, you're gonna want to get from here to here anyway. Why? Because you're gonna just make more money for doing the same work, right? If you know you're gonna make more money for doing the same work, why not position yourself to make more money, right? And then if you do it in the first 20 days, they're gonna give you a $200 bonus. If you move from here to here within total of your first 45 days, they're gonna give you another $200 bonus. But get this month, the company said that anybody who got started as an associate in the month of August, and they moved up from here to here in their first 20 days, instead of getting $200, they're gonna get a $300 bonus. I mean, that's huge, right? I mean, because we're not talking commission drive, we're just talking a bonus, right? So that $300 bonus goes along with what it takes that you're gonna earn here as well for helping enroll the members, right? So it works pretty good. And then the top of the chart simply says that when you hit this level, right, and if you did it for 3 consecutive months in a row, they're gonna give you a $5,000 bonus. Right? Pretty significant stuff there. So let's talk about how to move up, right? So moving up, which we call fast start qualified, is the move from associate to the senior associate position requires two things. One, marketing $60 of premium. So in other words, $60 of membership sold, okay? Which is basically 1.5 people, right? We said that plan was $48.95, right? So $48.95 is basically $49, right? So you only need $11 more worth of premium sold to get to 60, and you find one person that want to make money. And when you do that, and you do that in your first 20 days, you're gonna get a $300 bonus. It says 200, but again, if you got started this month, it's gonna be 300, right? That you're gonna earn, and you get a chance to advance in the compensation level, right? And then the manager position, going up the 2 levels, as we talked about, is basically marketing $400 of business, okay, between you and the person that you got started. Like, give me a name of somebody you know, Jimmy, anybody, doesn't matter.
Ryan.
Ryan, all right, so Ryan let's say Ryan became one of your business partners. So between you and Ryan, marketing $400 worth of business, and you do it within your first 45 days, and you found at least 2 other people outside of Ryan to also get started in the business, then you're gonna be advanced to that level called manager, and you're gonna earn another $200 bonus, plus being positioned to earn $154 every time you help somebody get that one of those $48.95 plans, right? And so that's pretty huge. And so the good thing for us as sponsors, meaning you or anyone else, is that as you help Ryan do the same thing you did, you get a chance to earn the same bonuses he gets a chance to earn, right? Which is pretty incredible, right? And so let's talk about the power of leverage income, right? And so one thing you didn't know about me, because I didn't share it earlier, was I started this business part-time too. I used to work in higher education as an administrator. I worked for the university, Stony Brook to be specific. Right? I did that for 15 years. Loved it. I would still be doing it if it wasn't for Legalshield, right? But the reason I bring it up is because I work 70-hour work weeks sometimes. Okay, certain seasons of the year, I'd be over 70 hours in the week I would put in, right? And anybody who has a family knows that's a tremendous amount of time to be away from the home, right? And especially if you have children, it's called you never see them, right? And so I needed to do something different. But I tell you that story because I didn't have a lot of time to do anything else, but I knew I needed to do something else. So I only had 5 hours a week to work my Legalshield business. That's all I could spare, right? And still get some quality of sleep and everything else, right? But it was with this particular thing I'm showing you now, working the 5 hours a week, that I was able to transition out of that old job I used to have to doing this full time. Okay, and so that's why I share that story with you, because I want you to understand the power of what I'm showing you, right? And so what this simply says is that if you built a small team of 30 associates, finding 30 people that want to make extra money, okay, over time, okay, it doesn't have to be all in 1 month or just over time, you find 30 people. And let's say you got to a point where all 30 people were marketing 5 memberships a month, right? So 30 people individually was helping 5 different individuals or families have this plan, okay? And if that was happening, you would be what they call an executive director, and the minimum dollar amount you would earn for each one of those transactions would be $55. What's 5 times 30, right? That's 150. So you got 150 transactions times $55, your basically minimum override. That's $8,000 a month on top of, in addition to what you might be already earning, and you didn't do a single thing, other than maybe help a few people here and there when you could, right? And that's exactly what I was able to do, working the business part-time, 5 hours a week.
Wow.
That's great.
Okay,
Yeah.
and that's pretty exciting,
Yeah.
right? And that's and the reason I bring this up, guys, is because and I don't knock jobs. Okay, so I want to make sure I preface this the right way. Employment's important, right? But the income we earn from our employment is in whose hands, right? Meaning, who do we depend on to make sure we continue getting that, right? And that's our employer's willingness to keep us, right? I mean, that's the bottom line, right? If they can turn around and at any point and say, thank you for your services, but we can no longer retain you, right? And then what happens to our life? Our life immediately, it gets turned right upside down. If we hadn't done a good job financially, right, to make sure we have a little extra just in case the unfortunate thing happens, it's called we could be in a little trouble real fast, right? And it could take people sometimes months, and sometimes I know people a couple of years before they can get back to anywhere close to where they were. right? And I say that we should never be in a position where we have all of our financial eggs in one basket, right? And so having the ability to have more streams of income should be important to anybody, right? And I'm not saying it has to be this, but just in general, we need to think of other ways that we can have other streams of income coming in. But this happens to be another way, right? And if it can happen with or without your effort, right? Why not entertain it? Because that's what would be important. Because we only have a certain amount of time a day ourselves, right? The average person who has a job probably works an 8-hour, at least minimum 8 hour a day if they're working full time, right? And then if they have a family, they gotta go home, they gotta make sure the kids are all right, they gotta make sure the kids are fed, they gotta do everything a family has to do, right? But at the end of the day, we don't have much time to do something, get a second part-time job, right? Because that means what? More time out of the house, right? I know people who spend almost as much money trying to keep their part-time job as they make on their part-time job, right? Because you understand, it costs money to be away from the house, right? I mean, if you need childcare, or if you gotta travel, right? Or you need additional meals, right? So all that costs. And so why not be in a position again where you can earn money that's disproportionate to your own personal time, okay? And it doesn't have to be local to where you live, right? So literally with that leverage, you can earn money in states you've never been, right? Because if I go back to the scenario I talked about earlier, right? As if Jamie knows me, she shares it with me, my sister doesn't even live here in New York. She lives in Georgia, right? Who you don't even know, right? But if I share this information with my sister decided to come on board, not only just as a member of the services, but decided she wanted to make money too. And as she built a business in Georgia, even though you don't know her, you would earn an income for what she does. How powerful is that?
That's big, yeah.
Right? I mean that's real
I
powerful.
told my girlfriend in Vegas and North Carolina, they get ready to sign up.
See what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? That's awesome, right? I mean, and that's very powerful stuff. Residual income, my favorite area to talk about. Why? Because we earn money today. We trade time for dollars. Most jobs, that's how we do it, right? We decide to work a certain number of hours. We get paid a certain hourly rate, or we get paid a salary, right? And we agree that we're going to give this amount of time. This is how much we're going to get paid, which is great. But again, what happens when that's no longer there? It's called immediately. Your income basically ceases, right? I mean, pretty much, right? What residual income says here basically is that as you build the business, as you share the income with other people, okay, as you share the services with other people and they decide to get the plan, you're gonna get a commission, which we already talked about, right? On that piece of business. And that's what we call a 1-year advance commission every time we sign someone up. But after 1 year of someone having a service, starting on the 13th month, when that member pays their $48.95 premium to keep the plan, you start to get paid again. And every month, as they pay after that, you earn a small piece of that for as long as they keep it, right? I've been a member of Legalshield for the services for 18 years, okay? The person signed me up 18 years ago in my kitchen. They came in, opened up a placemat brochure, read it to me. I already told you why I wanted it, because I got stopped by NYPD twice, right? I bought the plan. I was floored. In my mind, as they were telling me, I said, if it's $100 less, I'm getting it, because I just what could fit in my budget at the time. And when I saw the price, I was like, well, sign me up. Right? So they signed me up. I saw that person one time, 18 years ago, 20 minutes. But every month for the last 17 years, okay, first of all, they earned $200 in that 20-minute conversation because they were direct with the company. They earned a $200 commission just talking to me for 20 minutes, which wasn't bad, right? But every month for the last 17 years that I've been paying my premium to keep this plan, they've been earning the income. I will keep the plan as long as the good Lord keep me alive. Right? And so that person would have done something one time, 20 minutes. And as long as I'm here, they're gonna keep making money. And if they're not here, meaning if the Lord calls them home for some reason, right? And I still have the plan, they still earn the money. They can will it to their children, right? They can will it to their grandchildren. They don't have children or grandchildren, set up a foundation. The money's still there. My point is the money still comes in. But it's not just on the one member, just not on a member that they would have enrolled with me, right? Because I became an active business associate with the company, every member I signed up, they earn residuals on that too.
Wow.
I don't know if y'all get it,
I get it.
okay? I don't know if you get it, but my point is that That's big. That's like insurance companies. Like I laugh all the time. Like our premium, our money we pay every month to keep our cable. Okay, they get paid, right? They get paid. They getting paid every month, right? Many of us are not in that position, but why not be, right? And that's for the lifetime, by the way. Lifetime of the memberships. So, how much does it cost to get started? $99, right? We can do a lot of things, but for $99, I don't know a better place you can have this kind of investment, right? To get the return on an investment. I just showed you how, in 20 days, how you can earn $300 as a bonus for helping 2 people get the plan, and 1 person join you in the business. I mean, that's 300 times what you invest, right? Huge, right? And we have incentive trips like Performance Club, and that just gets you additional bonus money. When I talked about bonuses and incentives programs, this is not a must, but if you're gonna do the business, why not put yourself in a position where you can earn up to $500 a month additional as just a bonus, just because you maintain the status called Performance Club. A Performance Club is basically competing with yourself. So every month you decide that you're gonna do a minimum level of business. So you do $90 of business sold a month, okay? Put you in the Performance Club. And you do that consistently every month. You're gonna increase the amount you have on the bonus that you would get each month just for doing that. And then if you decide to do what they call Performance Club Pro, which is $108 a month premiums, so it just gets you more money, right? But it also puts you on all expense paid trips too, for 2. So you can take anybody else you want, the company will pay for it. And I'm talking about everything. Airfare, hotel, all you can eat food. I mean, the last trip they went on was to Cabo. Not only did they get their hotel, their airfare, all you can eat food, but they got each person got a $750 spending voucher. And it was for 800 people. What?
Big money.
Where else can you go for $99?
That's right.
Right, I mean, big. I mean, huge. I mean, I can go on. We have all kinds of business apps and things that we can utilize to help us grow our business. I mean, you're currently at what we call a business briefing, okay? But we have private business receptions, which can be held like in homes, as an example, or other venues that have rooms or things that you can make presentations. We have all types of social media videos. We got mobile apps and websites and everything else that we can utilize without you having to do what I'm doing right now. Okay, and I keep referring to that because I already know. We know public speaking is no one wants to do it, right? I mean, some people don't care, but most people don't. They're like, yeah, nah. You good? You sound good, dude. Right? Yeah, you 18 years old. Yeah, that can never be me, right? But you don't need to be me, because most of y'all could do something I can't do, which is in a matter of seconds send out a link to somebody to be able to take a look at, right? I mean, it'll take me 2 or 3 minutes to get my fingers and get my whole thing wrapped around me sending out a link to somebody, right? I still do it. I still take the 2 or 3 minutes I need to do it, but my point is that it takes no time at all for most people, right? The only other overhead you will ever have, well, let me rephrase that. The only consistent overhead you would have with this thing we call Legalshield Advantage, okay? Which means that it's $20 a month to have. It comes free with the first 30 days, so the $99 covers you for the first month of this. But it's basically all your business resources that you'll need going forward, okay? And so it's your ability to be able to have an enhanced associate back office, which keeps track of all your business information. So you never have to wonder where your money's coming from. You can just look and know where it's coming from. You can know whose activity was responsible for generating your income, right? You can see how many members of yours are still active. You can see how many of them stopped paying. You can see. I mean, you can see everything. You can say everything you want to see about the business without you having to keep track of it. That's what that is, right? You have your personalized website, so people can actually go to a website with your name on it, right? View information about Legalshield. They can buy right there on the site, and you can get direct deposit in your bank account of your choice the next day if you have daily direct deposit, or next week if you have weekly or monthly, right? And then we have business apps to help you build your business. So that's just, again, one of the only consistent overheads you'll have outside of your membership services you will have to protect you and your family. And then we have an amazing track record. We have over 400 families that earn over 6 figures a year, okay? And when I say 6 figures, I'm not just talking about 100,000, we're talking multiples of 100,000, okay? We have over 200 families that make between $50,000 and $99,000 a year, or $99,999. Yeah, right? And we have over 230 families that have earned over $1 million in their tenure with the company, okay? Which is huge. And in the last 10 years, we paid over $1 billion in commissions, in cash, by the way. That's not promissory notes or IOUs. Everything we do is done in cash, right? And you can see the backgrounds of the different people that's involved in our business. We have Mike Hughes happens to be a former postal worker. I mean, that's the guy who delivers your mail, right? I mean, can you imagine? And today, I happen to know his story, but he's a multi-millionaire with leadership. Okay, he went from running from dogs, as he called it, right, to a multi-millionaire, right? You got former real estate, you got former business owners, you have former educators, you got folks that are involved in ministry, entrepreneurs, authors. You have all sorts of people that are involved in what we do. And the benefit here is just if you want to be part of something that's changing lives, okay? You want to be part of something that's allowing you to have an additional income stream, okay? You just want to, again, want to be part of helping you make a change. Then this is probably, where you want to be. I mean, if you're interested in just having yourself grow. I mean, I've learned so much in the years I've been involved with this company, not just from just finances, but just everything. I mean, everything about me, how I deal with people, how I associate with things have changed for the better, all because I've been involved with this great company. And so that's the information we want to share. Basically, get back to the person who invites you, and the action steps are pretty simple. Enroll as a member if you're not already. Why? Because I believe everybody should be a member, right? I mean, there's a multitude of things. I was looking at the paper. Yeah, I do this on a daily basis, right? Generally. But either whether you're watching the news or you open up a newspaper, you can find almost something that can relate to what it is that we do, right? And so I'm happy to read this, and this was saying that the Fiesta and Focus car owners, right, are getting conflicting information from the dealerships regarding things that are not being covered by warranties. Like, in other words, they're not honoring the warranty, right? I mean, that happens quite a bit to people, right? How many would and their course of action, the owners of the vehicle's course of action was to contact the free press, right? Okay, oh, wow, woo, what we do, right? I mean, and I say that meaning they didn't have any other alternative, they don't have anything else, right? What if these folks all had access to Legalshield, right? It's called, no, my next call is to my attorney. Like, no, this can't happen, this is a problem. They're not honoring the warranty, this is what the deal is, right? And get your attorney actively working on your situation, right? That's big, right? And so everyone, and this happened, 600,000 people is affected right there with that. 600,000.
Put them on your list. Start calling them.
Right. So I always wish when I see things like give me the list, just tell me who they are, right? I mean, I can go to work, right? But become a member, become an associate if you're interested. The business is not for everybody, and I get it, okay? Some people love what they do. They don't want to do anything else. Okay. However, I repeat, even if it's not this, let's try not to have all of our financial eggs in one basket. Find another way to have multiple streams of income. Because I can tell you at least a handful of stories. I know people personally who lost their jobs for one reason or another, whether it was health related or whether they got terminated, and their lives are, I mean, nowhere near like it was. No, I mean, and it's just terrible. They just wasn't prepared. I mean, and sometimes you don't think what happens, right? My dentist that I had for years, overnight lost his practice because his hands had the shakes. He went to the doctors, they doctors said there's nothing they can do. It's going to be like that. So he could not work on patients anymore. It was it. Done. This is something he went to school for. Spent a lot of years doing.
Yeah.
Taken away overnight. Right? I mean, and again, it's a very scary situation. And so we definitely want to have, and if you can have a second stream of income, again, without you requiring a whole lot of time to participate and do it and make money, why not? Right? Why not?
To build up.
We have the skills to be successful here already because we do it all the time. Okay? We do it all the time. What do I mean? How many times have we referred people to a restaurant we've eaten at?
Yep.
Right? How many times have we referred people to a movie we've seen and thought was good?
Yeah.
Right? How many times we've seen a sale that we thought was good and we knew that a friend of ours would also want to participate in taking advantage of that discount? Right? I mean, we do this stuff all the time. We never expect to get paid for it. We don't do it because we expect to get a discount the next time we go in the restaurant. Right? We do it because we're good-natured people. But this company's saying, we're willing to pay you for doing what you're going to do anyway. And how you know this works? Because if you were a Legalshield member already, right, and there was no business, forget there was a business, and you're a member of Legalshield, and you had a person who had to move a traffic violation, and you mean to tell me you're not going to let them know that you have the ability to send your attorney a link to an app, and they can go to court for them, and they can be at work, and they, you don't think you're going to tell them. You're going to tell them that anyway. They're going to be like, how can I get that? You're going to be like, oh, you got to go to this website. Right?
Sure.
I mean, so if that's the only way you did it, it beats nothing at all. Right? So you got extremely passive to creating whatever lifestyle you want. Right? I mean, that's big, big stuff. So, and then the last thing is just get trained, get paid and promoted, and that's it. Right? I mean, so it's huge stuff. So as we wrap up, just know, get back to the person. They can share with you how to take part in any of this stuff. For those that are interested, we'll be right back here in 2 weeks. Okay? In 2 weeks, we'll be right back here at the same location. You can see we got room. We got a few extra seats. We got room for other folks to come take a look. You know, so we ask that if you're interested, just make sure that you